Imagine a thunderous clash of steel echoing across a blood-soaked field, where a teenage boy, barely 15, stands defiant amid the chaos of battle, his eyes blazing with unyielding fury. This is the dawn of Harald Hardrada, the Viking warrior whose life roars like a tempest across history's seas. The year is 1015 or thereabouts, in the rugged heart of Norway, where Harald Sigurdsson enters the world as the son of Sigurd Syr, a petty king and chieftain of Ringerike, and Åsta Gudbrandsdatter, a woman of noble blood whose lineage ties into the old Viking ways. From his cradle in the shadowed halls of a longhouse, surrounded by the crackle of hearth fires and the scent of pine smoke, Harald grows tall and fierce, his body hardening like forged iron under the northern skies. Whispers of his destiny begin early. This boy has the blood of kings and the soul of a storm, his mother might have said, watching him wrestle with siblings in the snow-dusted yards. Harald's half-brother, Olaf Haraldsson, looms large in his young life. Olaf, the exiled prince turned Christian crusader, who returns to Norway in 1028 with dreams of reclaiming the throne from the Danish overlords. Olaf's fervor for the new faith clashes with the old gods, splitting loyalties like an axe through wood. Harald, idolizing his brother, absorbs tales of raids and glory around the feasting tables, where skalds sing of Thor's hammer and Odin's ravens. Deep inside, a voice stirs. I was born for the clash of arms, not the quiet farm. As tensions brew across the land, Norwegian lords rally against Olaf, seeing his Christian zeal as a threat to their pagan freedoms. By 1030, the stage is set for catastrophe at Stiklestad, a fertile valley in Trøndelag where armies converge like gathering clouds. Harald, now 15 and towering like a young oak, grips his axe for the first time in true war. The weight of it familiar from boyhood training. The air hangs heavy with anticipation, the ground soft underfoot from recent rains, and the distant lowing of cattle mixes with the sharpening of blades. Dawn breaks on July 29th, 1030, with the sun casting long shadows over the assembled hosts, Olaf's loyalists, perhaps 3,000 strong, facing a rebel force twice their number, led by chieftains like Kalf Arneson and Thorir Hund. Harald stands in the shield wall, his heart thumping like a war drum, the metallic tang of fear and excitement on his tongue. Olaf, clad in mail and bearing a cross-emblazoned shield, rallies his men with fiery words, "Fight for God and Norway. Brothers, let no traitor stand." Harald echoes the cry inwardly today. I become a man or a legend in Valhalla. The battle erupts in a frenzy, arrows hissing through the air like angry hornets, thudding into shields and flesh alike. Harald charges forward, his axe swinging in wide arcs, cleaving through a rebel's helmet with a sickening crunch. Blood sprays warm across his face, the screams of the dying piercing the roar like shattered ice. He fights beside Olaf, dodging spears that whistle past, the ground turning to mud churned with gore. Hold the line, Olaf bellows, his sword flashing as he fells foes. But betrayal lurks. Thorir Hund, once an ally, thrusts a spear into Olaf's thigh. As the sun climbs higher, the tide turns against them. Olaf falls, riddled with wounds, an arrow to the knee, a sword to the belly, and finally Thorir's fatal thrust. His dying gasp echoes, Lord, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace. Harald, slashed across the arm and chest, feels the world spin, pain lancing like fire through his veins. He staggers back, shielding his brother's body, but the rebels press on, their chance of victory drowning the moans. In his mind, A vow forms, this defeat is but a forge. I will rise hotter, sharper, wounded and hunted. Harald flees the field under cover of chaos. Loyal retainers dragging him into the dense forests where pines whisper secrets and streams run cold. The pursuit is relentless. Rebel scouts comb the woods, their torches flickering like malevolent eyes in the night. Harald hides in a farmer's barn, feverish and bleeding, the straw pricking his skin as he bites down on leather to stifle groans. A kind peasant tends his wounds with herbs and bindings, murmuring tales of Olaf's sainthood already spreading. The king is a martyr now, the man says, and you, his kin, must live to avenge. Days blur into a haze of pain and evasion. Harald crossing swollen rivers on makeshift rafts, the icy water numbing his limbs and washing away blood trails. He reaches Sweden, a land of allies where Norwegian exiles gather in shadowed halls, plotting amid mead horns and flickering fires. But safety feels fleeting. Denmark's shadow looms, and Harald's ambitions burn brighter. Sweden is refuge, not destiny, he thinks, his eyes turning east to the vast lands of the Rus. By 1031, Harald ventures to Kievan Rus, the Grand Principality ruled by Yaroslav the Wise, a realm of onion-domed churches and fur-clad warriors stretching across endless steppes. Yaroslav, kin through marriage ties, his wife Ingigerd is Swedish royalty, welcomes the young exile, seeing potential in his Viking grit. Harald enters service as a captain in Yaroslav's guard, honing skills in skirmishes against Pecheneg nomads, horse archers who raid like wolves from the grasslands. The thundering hooves shake the earth, arrows darkening the sky, and Harald learns the art of cavalry charges, his axe adapting to saddle and stirrup. Life in Kiev unfolds in a tapestry of contrasts, golden icons gleaming in cathedrals, the Dnieper River flowing wide and lazy, markets bustling with silks from the east and slaves from the north. Harald rises in esteem, commanding raids that bring back spoils of amber and furs. He courts Elisiv, Yaroslav's daughter, her beauty like a northern aurora. But marriage must wait for greater fortunes. Inner monologues haunt him. Here I build strength, but Norway calls like a siren's song. Patience. Harald glory awaits beyond these plains. The pull of greater adventures grows. Tales of the Byzantine Empire filtering North Constantinople, the jewel of the world, where emperors drip in gold and the Varangian Guard. Elite Norse mercenaries carve legends in foreign wars. Around 1034 at 19, Harald sets sail down the Dnieper, through treacherous rapids and Black Sea storms, his ship creaking under waves that crash like giants' fists. Pirates lurk in hidden coves, but Harald's crew repels them with boarding axes and fierce yells. To Miklagard he shouts, the crew's response thundering back, tension mounting with every league as the unknown beckons. Arriving in Constantinople, the city's splendor assaults the senses, massive walls rising sheer from the sea, domes of Hagia Sophia piercing the sky, streets alive with merchants hawking spices, silks, and jewels. The air hums with a babel of tongues, Greek, Arabic, Slavic. Harald, a towering Norseman with braided beard and scarred arms, stands out amid the silk-robed courtiers. He petitions Emperor Michael IV, offering his sword to the Varangian Guard, the emperor's personal bodyguard of Viking stock, famed for loyalty and ferocity, accepted into their ranks. Harald enters a world of rigorous drills in sun-baked barracks, the clang of weapons mixing with the call of muezzins from distant mosques. He trains alongside grizzled veterans, learning Byzantine tactics, phalanx formations, Greek fire catapults that belch flames like dragons. His first tastes of combat come in patrols against Bulgarian rebels, mountain paths slick with dew, ambushes lurking in misty valleys. These Greeks fight with cunning, he reflects, but I bring the fury of the north. As Harald proves his worth, promotions come swiftly, his exploits in suppressing uprisings earning whispers of the thunderbolt of the north. Yet intrigue simmers in the palace empress's scheme, eunuchs plot, and envy brews among rivals. The risks heighten. One false word could mean poison in the wine or a dagger in the dark. Harald amasses a small fortune from pay and plunder, hiding gold in secret chests, dreaming of the day it funds his return. Byzantium is a golden cage, he muses, beautiful, but deadly. I must escape with wings intact. The Mediterranean campaigns beckon, Harald leading Varangians in assaults on Sicilian strongholds held by Arabs, where Saracen arrows rain like desert storms and curved scimitars flash in the sun. Sieges drag on, catapults hurling stones that shatter walls with earth-shaking booms, the air thick with dust and screams. Victory brings loot chests of dinars, rolls of silk but losses mount, comrades falling to disease and blades. Tension coils tighter. Harald senses his time here is finite, the call of Norway growing louder amid the foreign sands. Back in Constantinople, Harald navigates court politics, charming Empress Zoe with tales of northern sagas, her favor granting him command over larger forces. But jealousy festers. Rumors of his ambitions reach the emperor, leading to a brief imprisonment on trumped-up charges. In the damp dungeons, chains biting his wrists. Harald plots escape, his inner voice fierce. No cell holds a Viking forever. With loyal Varangians' aid, he breaks free, fleeing the city in a stolen boat under cover of night. Oars slicing silently through the Bosphorus. Sailing north with his accumulated wealth, enough gold to buy armies, Harald returns to Kievan Rus by 1042, marrying Elisiv in a grand ceremony under Kiev's spires. Her hand a symbol of alliance and love. Yaroslav's court celebrates with feasts of roasted boar and flowing mead. But Harald's eyes turn west. Home awaits. He vows, with throne and vengeance. As Harald prepares to reclaim his birthright, alliances form with Swedish kin, the path back to Norway fraught with rivals like Magnus the Good, Olaf's son now on the throne. The stakes rise: betrayal, battle, and blood lie ahead, the saga building toward a crown forged in fire. As Harald's ship slices through the Black Sea's restless waves, the spires of Constantinople rise like golden spears against the horizon. A city of wonders and whispers that promises to reshape this exiled Viking into something eternal. The year turns to 1034, and at 19, Harald Hardrada steps ashore amid the clamor of docks teeming with traders from every corner of the known world, dark-skinned merchants from Africa hawking ivory, Persian silk sellers unfurling bolts that shimmer like liquid moonlight, and Greek fishermen hauling nets heavy with silver-scaled bounty. The air buzzes with a symphony of languages, the sharp tang of spices mingling with the briny sea spray. And Harald feels a thrill course through him. This is no backwater court. Here, empires are won or lost in shadowed alleys. Joining the Varangian Guard is no simple oath. It's a rite of passage forged in sweat and steel within the emperor's vast barracks, where Norse giants like himself drill under the relentless Byzantine sun. Harald, with his broad shoulders and battle scars from Stiklestad still fresh, endures grueling marches across dusty plains, shield walls clashing in mock sieges that echo with the thud of wood on wood. Veterans from Sweden and Denmark size him up, their eyes narrowed. Prove yourself, boy, or the Greeks will feed you to the lions. He spars endlessly, his axe whistling through the air to disarm opponents, bruises blooming like dark flowers on his skin, each one a lesson in endurance. The guard's loyalty is legendary, sworn to protect the emperor through fire and treason, and Harald quickly learns the palace's labyrinthine politics. Emperor Michael IV, a former money changer risen to power, rules with a mix of cunning and paranoia, while his wife, Empress Zoe, weaves intrigues from her perfumed chambers. Harald's first assignment is palace duty, standing vigil in marble halls where mosaics depict saints and warriors in glittering tiles, the faint echo of chants from Hagia Sophia drifting in like divine whispers. But boredom gnaws at him. I came for glory, not to guard doors like a chained hound. Opportunity strikes in 1035 as rebellions flare in the empire's fringes, Bulgarian upstarts in the Balkans, fueled by old grudges against Byzantine taxes and Orthodox impositions. Harald leads a detachment northward, marching through rugged mountains where paths twist like serpents, the air crisp with pine and the distant howl of wolves. Ambushes lurk in misty valleys, arrows zip from hidden crags, forcing Harald to rally his men with a roar, shields up for Odin and the Emperor. He charges into the fray, axe cleaving through leather armor, blood slicking the stones as rebels scatter like leaves in a gale. Victories pile up, Harald's name spreading through the ranks like wildfire, crushing a fortified village where flames leap from thatched roofs. The crackle and heat searing his face as he drags out treasure chests, brimming with silver coins stamped with imperial eagles. Loot flows freely, golden chalices from looted churches, fur cloaks from slain chieftains. Yet with each triumph, envy simmers among Byzantine officers, who mutter of barbarian upstarts in wine-soaked taverns. Harald senses the shift. Glory breeds enemies. I must climb higher before they pull me down. By 1038, Harald commands his own Varangian company, sailing to Sicily, where Arab emirs hold sway over sun-drenched olive groves and ancient ruins. The Mediterranean crossing is perilous. Storms lash the fleet, waves towering like angry gods, lightning cracking the sky as men bail water with frantic urgency. Landing on rocky shores, they besiege Syracuse, catapults hurling boulders that smash into walls with thunderous booms, dust clouds rising like specters. Harald scales ladders under a hail of boiling oil, the sizzle and screams piercing the din, his shield blistering from the heat. In the heart of the melee, Harald duels an Arab captain atop the battlements, swords clashing in a dance of sparks, the sea wind whipping their cloaks. Yield. Infidel, the captain snarls, but Harald's axe finds its mark, the blow resounding like a felled tree. The city falls, markets yielding spices, jewels, and slaves. Harald claims a share, his coffers swelling, but the cost haunts him, comrades lost to dysentery in fetid camps, their groans fading under starry nights. War's feast is bittersweet. He reflects by campfire light, flames dancing shadows on his face. Back in Constantinople, Harald navigates the Empress's court, where Zoe, aging but radiant in purple silks, takes a shine to his tales of northern fjords and Viking raids. Feasts in the great palace overflow with roasted peacocks and honeyed wines, lyres strumming melodies that blend Greek elegance with exotic rhythms. Harald charms her with gifts, a necklace of amber beads from the Baltic, whispering, "Your beauty rivals Freya's, my lady." Her favor grants him richer commands, but rumors swirl of romantic entanglements, drawing the emperor's ire. Tensions escalate in 1040 with a palace coup. Michael the Fawn falls ill. His nephew Michael V scheming to seize power. Harald, ever the opportunist, sides with Zoe during the uprising, leading Varangians through riot-torn streets where mobs chant for blood, torches flaring against the night. He storms the palace gates, axes battering doors that splinter like dry bones, the clash of guard spears ringing out. In the throne room, amidst shattered vases and spilled incense, Harald helps install Zoe's new husband, but betrayal looms. Michael V imprisons him on false charges of embezzlement. Dungeons beneath the city swallow him, damp stone walls dripping with moisture, chains rattling in the gloom where rats scurry over moldy straw. Harald endures torture, whips cracking across his back. The sting like fire ants, but his spirit unbroken. They chain the body, not the will. Loyal Varangians bribe guards, smuggling tools for escape. In a moonless night, he breaks free, fleeing to a hidden boat on the Golden Horn, oars dipping silently as imperial patrols shout from the shores. Fugitive once more, Harald raids imperial outposts for gold, amassing a fortune in secret chests of Byzantine hyperpyra coins, enough to fund armies. He sails north by 1042, evading naval pursuits through foggy straits. The seas roar, masking his passage. Returning to Kievan Rus, Yaroslav welcomes him as a hero, feasts echoing with toasts to Harald, scourge of the Greeks. He weds Elisive in a ceremony of splendor, her veil like fresh snow, vows exchanged under icons that glow in candlelight. "With you, I build a future," he murmurs. But Norway's throne beckons like a distant thunder. Alliances solidify. Harald aids Yaroslav in Polish campaigns, charging across plains where cavalry clashes shake the earth, lances splintering shields. Victories bring more wealth, but homesickness gnaws. The Rus are kin, yet my blood cries for fjords. By 1045 he turns westward, sailing to Sweden, then Denmark, forging pacts with Svein II against Norway's ruler, Magnus the good Olaf's son and Harald's nephew, a young king whose grip weakens. Landing in Norway around 1046, Harald rallies supporters in hidden valleys, whispers of his Byzantine exploits drawing warriors like moths to flame. Skirmishes erupt, raiding Magnus's outposts, flames engulfing longhouses as arrows fly in the twilight. Uncle against nephew, blood ties snap like twigs. Harald laments inwardly, yet ambition drives him. The Battle of Nyssa in 1048 sees naval fury on Danish waters, ships ramming with bone-crunching impacts. The sea foaming red as men grapple across decks. Harald's dragon proud vessel sways in the chaos. His commands bellowed over the roar, board them, take no prisoners. Victory forces Magnus to share the throne, co-kings in uneasy truce. But Magnus's death in 1047, a fall from horseback. Rumors of poison leaves Harald sole ruler. Jubilation sweeps the land. Yet rebellions simmer among chieftains, chafing under his taxes. The crown is heavy, he admits, as winter winds howl through Oslo's halls. As king, Harald enforces unity with iron-crushing uprisings in the uplands, axes felling rebels in snow-choked forests, the crunch of boots on ice punctuating executions. His Hardrada moniker spreads, a nod to harsh rule that builds roads and churches, blending Viking might with Christian order. Wars with Denmark rage on, year after year. fleets clashing in straits where waves crash like accusing gods. The epic Battle of Niso in 1064 crowns his efforts. Hundreds of ships collide, arrows darkening the sky like locusts, fire arrows igniting sails and blazing infernos. Harald stands defiant on his deck, wind whipping his cloak, as he fells Danish champions in single combat, their blood staining the planks. Peace follows, but exhaustion grips Norway-depleted farms, widowed families. Victory's price is a hollow throne. He ponders by hearthside. Eyes turn to England, where Harald claims descent through Harthacnut's promises. Alliances with Tostig Godwinson, exiled earl, form in secret missives. England's crown awaits. Harald dreams, gathering ships as omens gather ravens circling, seers warning of doom. The invasion brews, a gamble that could forge an empire or end in oblivion. With the North Sea calling like an old friend turned foe, Harald's saga hurtles toward its climactic shores, where fate's arrows fly swift and true. As the fjords of Norway echo with the ghosts of hard-won battles, Harald Hardrada, now undisputed king at 51, stands on a windswept cliff overlooking his fleet, the salt-laden breeze carrying omens of distant shores and unclaimed crowns. It's the summer of 1066, and whispers from across the North Sea speak of England's turmoil. King Edward the Confessor dead without heir, his throne contested by Harold Godwinson, William of Normandy, and now Harold himself, claiming rights through ancient pacts with Harthacnut, the half-Danish king who once ruled both realms. England's riches call like a siren's song, Harold muses, his scarred hands gripping the rail as ships bob in the harbor, dragonheads snarling at the horizon. But this venture could drown us all in foreign waves. Preparations consume the kingdom. Longships hewn from ancient oaks, axes sharpened on whetstones that sing with metallic promise, shields painted with runes for protection against the Christian gods of the south. Harald rallies his warriors in Oslo's great hall, flames leaping in the central hearth, casting flickering shadows on faces hardened by years of Danish wars. We sail for glory and gold, he thunders, mead horns raised in toast. But doubt creeps in like fog levees drain the farms, leaving women and children to till stony soil, and seers mutter of ravens feasting on royal flesh. The fleet swells to over 300 vessels, a wooden armada that could conquer or capsize under ambition's weight. Alliance seals the plan. Tostig Godwinson, Harold's exiled brother and former Earl of Northumbria, arrives in secret, his eyes burning with vengeance after being ousted for tyrannical rule. In a tent lashed by rain, maps unfurl on oaken tables, fingers tracing routes across parchment seas. My brother is weakened by Norman threats. Tostig snarls, his voice like grinding gravel. Strike north, take York, and England fractures. Harold nods, sensing the fragility kin against kin. It's the Viking way. But betrayal's blade cuts deepest. Omens darken, a comet streaks the sky. Hali's harbinger interpreted as doom by priests. Yet Harold presses on. His inner resolve steel fate favors the bold, not the fearful. The armada launches in August, sails billowing like storm clouds as oars dip in unison. The rhythmic splash blending with war chants that rise and fall like ocean swells. Storms assail them mid-voyage, gales howling through rigging, waves crashing over decks with bone-chilling force, men clinging to ropes as lightning illuminates terrified faces. Harold stands unmoved on the prow, rain streaming down his beard. Thor tests us. We prove worthy losses, mount ships, splinter on hidden rocks. Crews vanishing into the depths, but the fleet presses south, landing first in the Orkneys to gather Scottish allies. Misty isles where clans pledge swords amid peat fires and whiskey toasts. Pushing onward, they raid the English coast, flames engulfing villages in Northumberland, thatched roofs collapsing in showers of sparks, the air thick with smoke and screams. Harold's men plunder churches for silver crosses and reliquaries, axes hacking through locked doors as priests flee in terror. This is but the appetizer. Harold laughs with his captains, but resistance stirs local fyrds muster, arrows flying from hedgerows in hit-and-run skirmishes that draw first blood. Tension builds. Scouts report Harold Godwinson marching north from London, his housecarls elite and battle-fresh after quelling Welsh uprisings. The invaders press inland toward York, clashing at the Battle of Fulford on September 20th, a marshy plain south of the city where English earls Edwin of Mercia and Morcar of Northumbria rally 5,000 men in a desperate stand. Harold's forces, 9,000 strong, form a shield wall that stretches like a serpent across the field, the ground soft and sucking at boots, the Derwent River gleaming ominously nearby. Horns blare, and the charge begins, Vikings surging forward with roars that shake the willows, axes clashing against Saxon spears in a deafening cacophony. In the thick of it, Harold wields his legendary axe, Land Waster, its blade a blur as it shears through shields like parchment, blood arcing in the sunlight. Push them into the mire, he bellows, his voice cutting through the grunts and cries. As men slip in the mud, bodies piling in grotesque heaps. Tostig's flank attacks from the side, turning the battle into a rout, Saxons fleeing across the river, many drowning in panic, the water foaming red. Victory is swift but costly. Harold counts the fallen, his triumph shadowed. We've broken their vanguard, but the true storm Godwinson approaches like thunder. York yields without siege, its gates creaking open to Harold's host. Citizens offering hostages and supplies in exchange for mercy, barrels of ale, loaves of bread, and oaths of fealty sworn in the minster's shadow. Feasting follows in captured halls, laughter echoing amid tapestries depicting ancient battles. But overconfidence creeps in. Harold disperses part of his army to guard ships at recall, miles away, leaving armor and heavy gear behind in the unseasonal heat. Rest now. Glory is at hand, he tells his men. But scouts gallop in at dawn on September 25th, wild with news. The English king comes 20 miles, marched in days. His army a tide of steel. Stamford Bridge, a simple wooden span over the Derwent, becomes the fateful ground Harold's forces, caught lounging in shirt-sleeves, scramble to form lines as dust clouds herald the Saxons' approach. The bridge narrows the field, a choke point where legend is born. A lone Viking berserker, frothing with rage, holds the crossing alone, his axe felling dozens in a whirlwind of fury, the planks slick with gore. Come and taste death, he roars, buying time as Harold rallies his men, heart pounding. One man defies an army. We all must match his fire. The berserker falls to a spear thrust from below, the river claiming his body, and the floodgates open, Saxons charging across. Housecarls in mail swinging broadswords that clash against Viking shields in bone-jarring impacts. Harold plunges into the fray, his banner waving high, axe rising and falling like judgment, cleaving helms and limbs amid sprays of blood and sweat. The air thickens with the metallic reek, screams blending into a hellish chorus. as Tostig fights beside him for revenge and throne, but the Saxons press relentlessly, their king Harald a commanding shadow, directing flanks that envelop the Vikings. Exhaustion grips Harald's men, unarmored flesh vulnerable to arrows that whistle like vengeful spirits, piercing throats and chests. Harald feels the tide turn, his breaths ragged, when an arrow finds his neck, hot pain exploding, blood surging as he gasps, vision blurring. Not here, not now, he thinks, staggering amid the chaos. His warriors forming a desperate ring around him. He falls to one knee, axe dropping, the world tilting as cries of "the king is down" ripple through the ranks. The battle devolves into slaughter. Vikings fighting like cornered beasts, but overwhelmed. Bodies carpeting the bridge and banks. The river running crimson. Tostig perishes soon after, beheaded in the melee, and the remnants flee, leaving a field of carnage under a setting sun that bathes all in bloody hues. Of Harald's thousands, only a handful escape to ships. The invasion shattered like a broken blade. In the hush of victory, Harald Godwinson kneels amid the slain, his own losses heavy, whispering prayers for the dead as ravens descend to feast. But no time for mourning messengers ride south with dire news. William's Normans have landed at Pevensey, the true storm breaking. Harald's end marks a pivot in history, his body borne home in defeat. Yet his saga's echoes swell, a tragic crescendo before the final fall, as the echoes of clashing steel fade into the wind, swept silence of Stamford Bridge. A hush falls over the bloodied field, where the mighty Harald Hardrada lies slain, his unblinking eyes staring at the gray English sky as if challenging the gods themselves for one final raid. September 25th, 1066, marks not just the end of a king, but the shattering of a Viking dream, with bodies strewn like fallen timbers across the bridge and banks, the Derwent River churning red with the lifeblood of thousands Norwegians. English, brothers in death's indifferent embrace. Harald Godwinson, England's beleaguered king, stands amid the carnage, his armor dented and slick, drawing ragged breaths as he surveys the cost we've slain the thunder. But at what price to our own storm-weary souls? The Saxon victors move methodically through the twilight, stripping the dead of weapons and rings, the clink of metal on metal a somber dirge amid the moans of the wounded. Harald's body, pierced by that fateful arrow, is identified by his towering frame and royal insignia, a ring engraved with runes, a cloak embroidered with Byzantine silk threads that whisper of distant glories. Tostig's headless corpse lies nearby, a grim testament to fraternal betrayal, his ambitions extinguished in the mud. Godwinson orders mercy for the survivors, a handful of Vikings, perhaps 24 ships worth from the original 300, granted safe passage home under oath of peace, their eyes hollow with defeat as they row away, the sea lapping accusingly at their hulls. Word of the battle races southward like a wildfire, messengers galloping through misty moors and ancient forests, their horses foaming at the mouth. In London, nobles whisper in torch-lit halls. Relief mingling with dread, Stamford Bridge has saved the north. But William of Normandy's fleet has already landed at Pevensey Bay, his knights sharpening swords on whetstones that echo like omens. Godwinson rallies his exhausted army for a forced march south, covering 200 miles in days, the men's boots blistering on dusty roads, rations dwindling as autumn leaves swirl in their wake. Harald's fall buys us time. Godwinson mutters to his earls around campfires that crackle faintly. But Normandy's duke hungers for our crown. Across the North Sea, news reaches Norway by October, carried on battered ships that limp into Oslo's harbor under leaden skies. Queen Elisive, Harald's Byzantine bride, receives the tidings in the royal longhouse, her face paling as skalds recount the tale, her hand clutching a golden cross from Constantinople. Tears tracing paths down cheeks lined by years of waiting. He chased horizons to the end. She whispers to their sons. Magnus and Olaf, young men now thrust into kingship. Their inheritance a realm scarred by endless wars. Magnus ascends briefly, but dies young, leaving Olaf to rule as the Quiet, a stark contrast to his father's thunder, focusing on peace and church building amid fjords that once echoed with war horns. Ripples spread through Scandinavia like stones skipped across a still lake. Denmark's Swine II eyes the weakened Norway with opportunistic gleam, border skirmishes flaring like embers in dry grass. Sweden stirs old alliances, chieftains gathering in mead halls where Harald's sagas are sung with a mix of awe and caution. He was the last Storm King, bridging Viking fire and Christian calm. In the Orkneys and Shetlands, Harald's former vassals mourn their overlord, feasts turning somber with toasts to his memory. The wind carrying laments over wave-crested seas. England's fate twists further at Hastings on October 14th, where Godwinson meets William in a clash that reshapes history arrows darkening the sky like at Stamford. Housecarls falling in shield walls that hold then crumble. Godwinson himself struck in the eye by a Norman shaft, his body trampled under hooves. The conquest unfolds, Norman castles rise like iron thorns across the land. Domesday Book cataloguing spoils, the English tongue blending with French in courts where Viking influences fade into folklore. Stamford Bridge, once a mere crossing, becomes legend a pivot where the Viking age gasps its last. Yielding to feudal knights and monastic scribes, chroniclers immortalize Harald in ink and vellum. Snorri Sturluson, the Icelandic sage, weaves his tale into the Heimskringla around 1230, painting him as a colossus striding through empires, from Stiklestad's betrayal to Byzantine intrigues, his words vivid as if drawn from eyewitness flames. Anglo-Saxon Chronicle notes the battle dryly, yet with respect the Norwegian king was slain, and his host destroyed. Artifacts unearthed centuries later bear witness rusted axes from the Derwent's banks, analyzed in modern labs revealing Norwegian ironwork. Coins from Harald's hoard glinting in museum cases, their Byzantine stamps a bridge between worlds. Poets and artists revive him across eras in Victorian paintings. Harald charges eternally at Stamford, his axe raised in dramatic fury. In operas, baritones belt sagas of his Varangian days, strings swelling like Mediterranean waves. Modern novels like The Last Viking by Henry Treece capture his essence, pages turning with the tension of his gambles, while video games let players wield his axe in digital battles, pixels bleeding red as historical echoes. Documentaries drone over reenactments at Stamford Bridge, actors in mail clashing under English rain, narrators intoning "Here fell the end of an era," Harald's death knell for the longship's reign. His legacy whispers through bloodlines' descendants, scattering across Europe. From Norwegian royals to distant kin in Russia, their DNA traced in modern tests linking back to that Ringerike farm. In Oslo's Viking Ship Museum, replicas of his vessels creak gently, evoking voyages that spanned continents, while York's Jorvik Center recreates the city's surrender, smells of smoke and spice pulling visitors into the past. Scholars debate his impact, a unifier of Norway through force. a harbinger of centralized kingship, yet a drain on resources that left his people weary. Harald built a nation. One historian argues in lectures that hum with projector light, but at the cost of its Viking soul, as centuries layer like snow on ancient barrows. Harald's story evolves a cautionary epic of ambition's blaze, inspiring explorers like Leif Erikson's kin or modern adventurers chasing polar horizons. In quiet moments by Norwegian firesides, tales persist. He lived as lightning, illuminating the dark before vanishing. The Viking Age, with its raids and runes, transitions into medieval Europe. Harald's fall a symbolic close, yet his spirit lingers, a restless wind urging us to question what dreams dare we pursue. Knowing the arrow waits, with the weight of history settling like dusk over forgotten fields. Harald's tragic odyssey invites us to reflect deeper, drawing timeless wisdom from his tempestuous path. In the quiet hush that follows history's grand upheavals, we pause to gaze upon Harald Hardrada's life not as distant echoes, but as a living flame that warms our own paths through uncertainty, urging us to chase our own horizons with the same unyielding fire that propelled this Viking king across seas and battlefields. From a boy scarred by the chaos of Stiklestad to a wanderer in foreign courts, and finally to a ruler whose ambitions crashed against England's shores. Harald's journey unfolds like a saga carved in wind and wave, reminding us that every soul harbors a restless spirit, bold and unbreakable, whispering what worlds lie beyond the next storm as we delve into the lessons woven through his triumphs and tragedies. Feel the weight of his axe in your hand, the salt spray on your face, and let his story ignite something deep within. Harald's early exile after Stiklestad's bloody defeat stands as a raw testament to resilience, that inner forge where defeat tempers the soul into something sharper, unyielding. Picture him, a wounded teenager fleeing through Norway's dense forests, the crunch of leaves underfoot masking his labored breaths, pursuers' torches flickering like predatory eyes in the night, yet he presses on, crossing icy rivers that numb his limbs, seeking refuge in Sweden and then Kievan Rus, where he rebuilds not just his strength, but his very destiny. Loss is not the end. He might have growled to himself in those lonely nights by meager campfires, flames dancing shadows on his scarred face. It's a call to adapt, to turn pain into power, much like how we, in our modern lives, face job losses, heartbreaks, or failures rising not despite them, but because of them, emerging stronger, wiser, ready to claim what was thought lost. This resilience echoes in today's world, where setbacks loom like shadowed fjords. Think of entrepreneurs who pivot after bankruptcies, or athletes rebounding from injuries. Their comebacks fueled by the same grit Harald showed in Yaroslav's service, skirmishing against steppe nomads, horse hooves thundering across vast plains, arrows whistling like angry winds. He didn't wallow. He honed his skills, commanding raids that brought spoils and respect, building alliances that would later fund his throne. Apply this when life knocks you down. View it as training ground, learn a new skill, network in unexpected places. Let exile reshape you into a force that commands respect, just as Harald did, his voice inwardly vowing from these ashes, I rise a conqueror. Venturing to Byzantium, Harald steps into a glittering web of intrigue, where the golden domes of Constantinople mask daggers in the dark, teaching us the art of navigating betrayal with cunning and caution. Imagine arriving in that bustling metropolis, the air thick with incense from Hagia Sophia's vaults, merchants haggling in a babel of tongues, and Harald, a towering Norseman amid silk-clad schemers, joining the Varangian guard with nothing but his axe and ambition. He drills in sun-baked courtyards, shields clashing like thunderclaps, sweat mingling with the salty Bosphorus breeze, rising through ranks by proving loyalty in palace coups and distant campaigns, yet envy brews. False allies plotting his downfall, leading to imprisonment in damp dungeons where chains bite like serpents. Trust is a blade, sharp on both sides. Harald might have reflected in those shadowed cells, the drip of water echoing his resolve as he escapes with loyal comrades' aid, fleeing under starlit skies. This lesson cuts deep in our careers or relationships. Alliances can elevate or eviscerate. Vet your circle carefully. Like Harald charming Empress Zoe with northern tales in perfumed halls, gaining favor amid feasts of roasted peacocks and honeyed wines, but always sensing the shift in whispers. Today, apply it by building networks with discernment, mentor others, but guard against users. In business deals or friendships, read the room like a battlefield, turning potential traps into triumphs, ensuring your rise isn't undone by a hidden arrow. Harald's Mediterranean exploits amplify the stakes, where sieges in Sicily's sun-scorched lands test the limits of endurance, catapults hurling boulders that crash like avalanches, the air hazy with dust and the acrid smoke of Greek fire. He leads charges up scaling ladders, boiling oil sizzling on shields, axes cleaving through Arab defenses in clashes that leave fields littered with the fallen. His men chanting victory amid piles of loot gold dinars glinting, silks unfurling like captured banners. Yet each win heightens peril. Comrades fall to blades or fever, reminding us that glory demands sacrifice, a balance of risk and reward that Harald mastered, amassing fortunes while dreaming of Norway's throne. In our lives, this translates to pursuing passions with measured boldness, whether starting a side hustle amid economic storms or chasing dreams that require leaving comfort zones. Weigh the costs like Harald did. His inner monologue, fierce riches without risk, are illusions. Embrace calculated gambles, save while innovating, learn from small failures before big leaps, turning adventures into assets. Just as his Byzantine plunder funded his return, chests heavy with gold sailing north through treacherous seas, reclaiming Norway's crown unleashes lessons in leadership's double edge. Where Harald's iron rule unites a fractured land but sows seeds of resentment, his Hardrada name echoing through halls where taxes bite like winter frosts. Envision him crushing rebellions in snow-choked uplands, axes felling foes amid blizzards that howl like vengeful spirits, building roads and churches that blend Viking might with Christian order, yet endless Danish wars drain the realm. Fleets clashing in straits where waves foam red, arrows darkening skies like locusts. Power must be wielded with wisdom, not just wrath. He perhaps pondered by hearthside, flames illuminating maps of conquest, as his people weary under the burden. This warns us, lead with balance whether managing teams at work or families at home. Blend strength with empathy. Unchecked ambition breeds backlash, like Harald's draining campaigns culminating in Niso's Pyrrhic victory, ships ablaze in fiery infernos. Apply it daily, delegate without dominating. Listen to feedback as he should have to disgruntled chieftains, fostering loyalty that endures beyond force, ensuring your legacy is one of growth, not graves. The fateful English invasion crystallizes ambition's perilous peak. Harold's fleet darkening the North Sea like storm clouds, landing in Northumbria where alliances with Tostig fray like worn ropes. Battles at Fulford rage on marshy plains, shields locking in iron walls, the earth trembling under charges that turn rivers crimson, yet overconfidence at Stamford Bridge. Armor shed in September heat invites disaster. A lone berserkers stand on the bridge, a fleeting legend amid the slaughter. Harold falls to an arrow's whisper, his last gasp one horizon too far. The field a tapestry of broken dreams under blood-red sunsets. Here, the ultimate caution, temper dreams with humility, chase goals, but heed limits. In our pursuits, from career climbs to personal quests, avoid hubris that blinds, like Harold ignoring omens of Godwinson's march. Measure risks, set boundaries, seek counsel, turn potential falls into pivots, ensuring ambition elevates without destroying. Harold's legacy, etched in sagas like Heimskringla's vivid scrolls, endures as a mirror for self-discovery, his Varangian path inspiring mercenaries turned leaders, his unifier role shaping Norway's dawn. In museums where his artifacts gleam rusted axes, Byzantine coins feel the pull, live fiercely, learn from scars, leave echoes that inspire, carry his fire in uncertainty, be resilient, in alliances, discerning, in leadership, balanced, in ambition, humble. Harold's bi-tragic tale closes an age, but opens doors to bolder tomorrows. Urging forge your saga, what worlds will you conquer within? As the threads of Harald Hardrada's saga weave into the fabric of our own reflections, lingering like the afterglow of a northern aurora, we find ourselves not at an end, but at a threshold where history's lessons propel us forward into the uncharted waters of tomorrow. His life, a whirlwind of exile, conquest, and ultimate fall, leaves us with a resonant call to action, embrace the Viking within. That indomitable spark that defies the storms and dares to dream beyond the visible horizon. Feel the chill wind of the fjords on your skin, the weight of an axe in your grip, and let his story stir your soul in the face of fate's arrows. How will you charge onward? Yet Harold's odyssey doesn't fade into silence. It echoes in the modern world, where his resilience inspires those navigating personal tempests, entrepreneurs rebuilding after failure, much like he did in Kievan Rus, gathering strength amid steppe winds and nomadic raids, turning exile into a foundation for empires. Picture a startup founder, codebase crashing like a longship in gales, yet pivoting with Harold's grit, refactoring dreams into reality. Whispering defeat is but a detour. This application breathes life into his legacy when career paths fracture. Seek new alliances, learn foreign languages of industries, and emerge commanding your domain, just as he commanded Yaroslav's guards. Horse charges thundering across endless plains. The Byzantine chapters, with their palace intrigues and golden deceptions, offer profound wisdom on discernment in a world of shifting sands, today's corporate ladders or social circles, where smiles hide daggers. Echo those marble halls where Harold charmed Empress Zoe amid feasts of exotic fruits and lyre melodies, only to face imprisonment's cold chains. Allies are forged in fire, tested in shadow. He might have pondered in dungeon gloom, the drip of water marking time until escape. Apply this vigilance. In networking events buzzing like Constantinople's markets, vet connections deeply, LinkedIn endorsements may gleam like Byzantine coins, but probe for authenticity, build trust incrementally, turning potential betrayals into steadfast bonds that propel you upward, avoiding the pitfalls that nearly ensnared him. Harold's Varangian campaigns, storming Sicilian fortresses under relentless suns, catapults launching stones that shatter walls with earth-shaking roars, the air thick with dust and the clash of scimitars. Teach us the thrill and toll of bold risks, balancing ambition's fire without being consumed. He amassed treasures that funded thrones, yet lost comrades to fevered camps and arrow storms, a reminder that pursuits demand sacrifice. In our era, this mirrors chasing promotions or passions, launch that podcast or side project amid life's sieges. But tally the costs, time from family, health in late nights like Harold weighing loot against lives. Glory's price is paid up front. His saga intones. Strategize wisely. Celebrate small wins like captured outposts, ensuring your quests enrich rather than exhaust. Ascending Norway's throne. Harold's hard rule crushing uprisings in blizzard-swept mountains, axes biting through rebel shields as snow swirls like vengeful ghosts, highlights leadership's delicate equilibrium. Uniting realms through force, yet risking alienation with heavy taxes and endless wars. Feasts in Oslo's halls, mead flowing amid skaldic songs, masked the growing murmurs of discontent. Rule with heart as well as hammer. The lesson rings. In managing teams or households, blend authority with empathy, delegate like he should have to weary chieftains, foster growth through inspiration, not just decrees, building legacies that endure like Norway's unified fjords, not crumble under resentment's weight. The climactic English gambit, fleet slicing through North Sea tempests, landing to clash at Fulford's marshes where shields lock and rivers run red, culminates in Stamford Bridge's tragic bridge overreach in shed armor, a berserker's lone stand delaying doom as arrows find their mark. Harold's fall, gasping amid the melee, embodies hubris's arrow reach far, but root deep. In personal ambitions, scaling corporate heights or fitness goals tempers zeal with humility. Set milestones. Heed warnings like ignored omens of Godwinson's march, pivoting before the bridge collapses. This safeguards dreams, turning potential tragedies into triumphs. Beyond these pillars, Harold's influence ripples through culture sagas like Snorri's Heimskringla, igniting imaginations, artifacts in museums whispering of Byzantine hordes, modern media reviving his thunder in films where axes swing under dramatic scores, or games where players relive sieges. His DNA threads through descendants, a genetic echo of restlessness. Scholars in lecture halls debate his unification of Norway, blending pagan fury with Christian dawn, inspiring policies of balance in divided nations. Carry Harold's essence into your days, resilience in adversity, discernment in bonds, boldness in risks, balance in power, humility in ambition. These forge not just kings, but fulfilled lives. As the aurora dances anew, ask what saga will you etch? Let his bi-tragic roar fuel your journey, closing one era while igniting yours, as the aurora's ethereal dance fades into the crisp dawn of a new day. Harald Hardrada's legacy doesn't merely linger in dusty tomes or weathered stones. It pulses alive in the veins of those who dare to dream big, reminding us that history's greatest tales are blueprints for our own epic journeys through life's unpredictable seas. Picture standing on a Norwegian cliffside, the same winds that once filled his sails now tousling your hair, carrying whispers of his unquenchable fire. Ambition is the longship that carries us forward, but wisdom steers the rudder. As we extend our gaze deeper into the applications of his saga, let these insights not sit idle like forgotten runes, but spark action in your daily battles, transforming abstract history into tangible triumphs that echo across your personal horizons. Harald's boyhood plunge into the chaos of Stiklestad, where arrows hissed like serpents and axes sang death's grim melody, underscores a foundational truth about embracing uncertainty. Life's battles often arrive unannounced, demanding we stand firm amid the storm. He was but 15, bloodied and bereft after Olaf's fall, the field a mire of mud and moans. Yet he fled not in despair, but with a burning vow etched in his soul: this wound will heal into armor. In our era of rapid change, job markets shifting like tectonic plates, relationships fracturing under modern pressures, channel this by viewing crises as catalysts when a layoff hits like a rebel spear. Don't retreat. Assess your skills like Harald did in Swedish exile, networking in new circles, upskilling through online courses that sharpen your edge, emerging not broken, but battle-ready. Your resume a saga of resurgence. This mindset extends to personal growth, where Harald's eastward trek to Kievan Rus, navigating frozen tundras and nomadic threats, teaches us to seek growth in unfamiliar territories. The Dnieper's wide flow, a metaphor for life's broadening paths. Amid Yaroslav's court, with its onion-domed splendor and fur-trimmed feasts, he adapted Viking ferocity to Rus cavalry tactics, thundering charges across steppes where dust clouds rose like war spirits. Foreign lands forge foreign strengths. He might have reflected under starry skies. Apply this when relocating for work or diving into new hobbies. Immerse yourself fully, like learning a language app's daily drills or joining community groups that challenge your comfort. Building a versatile self that thrives anywhere, turning displacement into destiny's forge. The Byzantine Odyssey amplifies lessons in strategic cunning, where Harald maneuvered through a maze of emperors and eunuchs, his Varangian oath a shield against the poison of politics. Envision the great palace's opulent halls, mosaics glittering under torchlight, where whispers could crown or condemn. Harald charmed Zoe with amber gifts and northern lore, yet evaded traps that led to chains in fetid cells, escaping by wit and loyal bonds. Deception dances in every shadow. See it before it strikes. His saga warns, in today's digital age, rife with misinformation and office intrigue. Hone this by fact-checking sources like a vigilant guard, using tools like critical thinking frameworks or apps that verify news, while in teams, foster transparency through open dialogues, preventing backstabs that derail projects, ensuring your ascent is secure as his promotions amid Mediterranean raids, those sun-blasted campaigns in Sicily and beyond, where Harald stormed walls amid arrow storms and catapult roars, the ground shaking like an angry god's stomp. Reveal the exhilaration of pushing limits, victories piled high with gold and glory, but shadowed by the fallen, their final breaths a haunting underscore. He balanced plunder with peril, chests overflowing with dinars yet heart heavy with loss. Push the edge, but know when to pull back. Translate this to fitness regimes or creative pursuits. Train with progressive overloads, like Harald's escalating commands. But incorporate rest days to avoid burnout. Tracking progress in journals that mirror his amassed fortunes. Turning exertion into empowerment without the crash of overreach. Harald's return and reign, forging Norway's unity through flames and frost, where rebellions crackled like dry tinder and Danish fleets clashed in watery graves, imparts mastery in sustainable power. His hard taxes built infrastructure, roads winding through fjords like veins of progress, yet bred resentment that simmered like a pot near boil. Led to lift, not to laden, the lesson flows. In parenting or project management, inspire rather than impose set family goals with shared input, or in workplaces. Use motivational techniques like recognition programs, blending firmness with fairness to create harmony, much like Olaf the Quiet's peaceful rule that healed Harold's wars, ensuring your influence nurtures growth, not grievances. The tragic English foray, Armada cresting waves toward Fulford's fury and Stamford's sorrow, the bridge a slick stage where a berserker's axe whirled in defiance. Only for Harold's throat to meet fate's arrow crystallizes the peril of unchecked ego. Overconfidence shedding armor like a fatal folly. Amid the melee's roar, shields splintering and blood misting the air, his fall whispers dream vast, but anchor in reality, in goal setting. Use smart frameworks to ground aspirations, specific like targeting a promotion timeline, measurable as his battle counts, avoiding the hubris that left Vikings vulnerable. Regularly reassess, pivoting from red flags like ignored scouts' warnings, transforming bold visions into achievable victories. Harold's enduring imprint, from sagas recited in Icelandic halls to artifacts unearthed in English soil, rusted helms analyzed in labs, revealing forge marks from distant smithies, fuels cultural renaissance, inspiring films where his charges thunder on screen, books that delve his psyche, even tourism trails tracing his paths through York's ancient streets. Legends live through us. They echo. Engage by visiting historical sites or reading primary sources, letting his story spark curiosity that enriches your worldview, connecting past dots to present insights. In essence, Harold's bi-tragic arc Rise from Ashes, peak in power, fall in foreign fields offers a compass for navigation, resilient adaptation, cunning vigilance, bold balance, sustainable leadership, humble ambition. These aren't relics, but tools for your toolkit. As the fjord's mists clear, heed his roar, forge ahead. Write your chapter. Let history's flame light your way to uncharted glories.